Hello and welcome back to another sci-fi narration with me, Zero Option, bringing you another story from r/Cryosleep. This week, our story comes from author Carlos Roca. You'll find a link to his bio and stories down below. And let us begin reading The Red Planet. Hello, my name is June. I'm an astronaut that works for NASA's Dark Projects. You may be asking, what's a Dark Project? Well, a dark project is basically funded by corporations and the government that aren't publicly known. Ever wonder where a good chunk of that cash the government makes from taxes that we don't know go? Well, you probably have a good idea of what I'm talking about. I'm basically telling y'all my experience, whether you believe me or not, it doesn't matter. Telling someone makes me feel less alone in my thoughts. This all started on a Friday afternoon when I was at my house watching TV. I received a call with no apparent ID.
Hello, June. Would you mind meeting up at an undisclosed location near your house?
Typically, if any regular person had got this call, they would start freaking out. But I've had my suspicions about NASA, so my common sense led me to believe that this was a government-related call. I proceeded to drive up to the location that they'd sent me, and once I got there, I just waited. 15 minutes later, a black van then pulls up right next to my car. A man in a black suit then comes out and attempts to give me a handshake and invite me inside the van.
Hello, June. We've been watching your work for the past decade. We want to make a proposal with you.
Of course. What's the proposal?
Me and the men in this van are part of a secret organization that is not known to the public. Basically, our job is to undergo tests, secret expeditions, and research.
So I'm assuming you're asking me to work with y'all on a top secret test or expedition?
Spot on. Like I said before, we've been watching you over the years and love your work. This is an attempted expedition to Mars.
How is that possible? I mean, our technology is nowhere near good enough to have an on-foot crew that far away.
Technology is always ahead of its time. Let me elaborate. Our government secretly has projects always going on, so our spacecraft technology is anywhere from 40 to 50 years ahead of current public technology.
Oh, I see. Well, when do you want me to get started?
I want you to read over and sign these contracts first.
I then proceeded to sign and read over all the NDAs and just start signing away. From what I had read, I'd be getting paid about $400,000 a year just from training for the expedition, and $4 million when the whole mission was completed, and training was going to be a 4-year duration. The training program was very rigorous, but I completed it without injury. The training consisted of mostly farming under harsh conditions, engineering, and learning how to use high tech. Launch day was 2 weeks away from the time I completed the training. Today is launch day. All those years of training have finally led up to this.
4, 3, 2, 1.
The G-force was incredible. It was like nothing like I'd ever felt before. We finally broke out of the atmosphere and started to head toward the red planet, Mars. The spacecraft was unbelievable. The technology was ahead of its time and, well, pretty fun to be on. I forgot to mention my crew members. Brandon, Gabriel, and Margaret. Brandon was our main pilot. Gabriel was our engineer. And Margaret was specialized with biological farming. And as for me, my main job was to run the technology on the ship. We all knew a little bit of everything, but those were our main jobs. Our main objective for this operation was to go to Mars and set up a colony for 2.5 years and see how it goes. If it's successful, we would have to stay and they would send more crews to the planet. If it doesn't work out, then we're to head back to Earth. Finally, the day had come when we were going to land on Mars. All of us were so excited, but we weren't successful yet. The entrance to the atmosphere was horrible. Our experience had led us to nothing like this. The ship was thrashing around and at times felt like we were going to crash, but luckily we made it safely and landed. We all then suited up and got ready to be the first men and women to set foot on Mars. One small step for man, and a giant leap for mankind.
Really, Gabriel? That's the most iconic thing you could have said.
Guys, this place looks an awful lot like Arizona.
Yeah, it really does look like a desert wasteland.
For the next couple of weeks, we set up our colony and started adjusting to this new lifestyle. At first it was hard, but later on it just got easier and easier. Next thing you know, it was 5 months later and we were finally getting the hang of it and having a self-sufficient colony. This is when we were ordered to start doing some scout missions in the modified truck around the colony. All was good, but something was just off. Every time we would go near Mount Olympus, our technology would malfunction. We didn't think much of it, but that being one of my specialties kinda left me in puzzlement.
Guys, why is it every time we come near this mountain, all of our technology starts to act up?
Likely has something to do with the geological forces.
Guys, technology just doesn't malfunction like this. There has to be something in that mountain that's messing with our stuff. June is right. This is just a little bit too strange, Gabriel. For the next 2 months, we just kept making our routine drives and eventually just got used to the technological malfunctions near the mountain. But something just kept bothering me deep to my core. My scans using the satellite showed a radioactive color on the scan indicating something in the mountain wasn't anything natural. I notified my superiors back on Earth. They said they'd shortly give me and my crew directions. Guys, we need to have a talk. Basically, the scans to the satellite show something radioactive is coming within that mountain. Now, I'm not saying it's extraterrestrials, but it certainly isn't naturally there.
What should we do? I mean, if it's radioactive, why would we even go near it to investigate? It's too much of a risk. I say we just ignore it.
No, I think we should investigate it. If it's nothing natural, we could benefit a lot from acquiring this information. I agree with you, Gabriel. We'll just have to wait and see what our superiors tell us to do then, guys. A couple of hours later, we received directions to make an expedition into the mountain. They wanted us to record all of our findings and take any samples we could. So we planned to go straight tomorrow morning. The next day we started driving to the mountain and found an opening into the cave system. The cave system looked nothing like Earth's. Many different illuminating crystals of all sorts of color shades was the first thing I noticed inside. When we kept walking for 15 minutes with the same crystals all around, suddenly something changed. Guys, stop walking. My suit's detecting a massive change in the carbon dioxide levels. Let our suits adapt for a couple minutes before we continue.
Whatever's down here isn't too pleased that we're here.
This is probably something to do with the magma from the center of the mountain. Look, guys, if this was magma, our technology wouldn't malfunction like this. The only thing that was working here were our suits because it ran on its own. What was primarily malfunctioning was the phone devices that were linked up to the satellite to help us have a good idea of what we're heading towards. After our suits adapted, we kept walking in. Now this is where things really started to take a turn.
Guys, what in the hell are these patterns on the wall?
God damn. Yeah, this is definitely not caveman level writings, Brent.
Well, I guess this has to be the extraterrestrials since there isn't any other explanation. Let's keep going.
Alright, you have to be fucking insane, June. Whatever is down there isn't fond of us, clearly.
Look, hear me out. Whatever's down there could have killed us a long time ago if it really wanted to kill us.
He's got a point, and I didn't come 143 million miles not to come see some aliens.
Alright, this isn't the time for jokes, Mark.
Look, seriously speaking, I say we go investigate. Margaret, since you're not very fond of this, you'll go back to the truck and get it started. Alright, it's settled then. Let's venture deeper into the cave system. We then continued on the path, and for the next 20 minutes, the cave patterns just got more defined every minute that passed. Then suddenly, my GPS showed me for a split moment before shutting off again, as if we were just about to enter an open area. As we entered, all we saw were hundreds upon hundreds of alien corpses that seemed to be preserved from all the carbon. In the background, I also noticed a large spacecraft.
Guys, what in the actual fuck?
Oh my god, thank god Margaret headed back to the truck. Alright guys, even though all of us are in a state of shock and disgust, we have to complete our mission. Let's start taking samples of the dead alien flesh. Margaret was right, you really are insane. Who in their right mind would actually get anywhere near those corpses, let alone extraterrestrials? June, just let me get my composure back and I'll go do what you said, sorry. For the next 10 minutes, all of us tried to relieve ourselves of some of the present shock we were in. Gabriel and Brandon gained borderline control and started to record. This is where things took a turn. Guys, did you hear that? Yeah, what's that weird vibrational sound? Suddenly, a large eerie sound sent all of us to our knees. In the background, we heard a weird, robotic alien language. All of us started to regain our strength after that sudden sound sent us to the ground. We slowly started gaining our strength back and could notice that the sound had likely come from the ancient alien's AI that was inside the spacecraft. The ship started to illuminate in a bright green color. As this happened, we started to notice the sound behind us. Guys, the entrance point is starting to shut off.
Fuck, why is that ship glowing up out of here and shutting us in here? Someone call Margaret to get us the fuck out of here.
Guys, let's stay calm and start heading toward the alien ship. This is likely the byproduct of the alien AI. We all then proceeded to head toward the craft. Upon entry, we noticed all the same patterns that we saw on the walls in the cave, but they were on what I presumed to be the control panel for the spacecraft. The spacecraft contained no windows, seats, or many doors. For the next 20 minutes, Brandon and Gabriel started to study the control panel and managed to decipher 3 controls. One of them being the hologram layout for the area around us, 2 being the door's sealing, and 3 being the ability to unlock all the seals and the entry to the base.
This is fucking insane, guys. We really thought we were going to a dead, dry planet. We just happened to come across all this bizarre shit.
Yeah, no kidding. NASA's gonna be very fond of all our findings, and maybe even some extra cash for having to endure all this bullshit.
June, try to touch that pattern to your left.
Once I touched this pattern, a robotic extraterrestrial's voice started to speak. We didn't have a clue what it was trying to tell us, but we still attempted to communicate with it. Rapidly, the AI understood we weren't from here, and signaled the universal pointing signal to my phone device. I then lifted it up, and a part inside the ship opened, so then I slid my device inside of it and waited. What I assumed the AI was trying to do was scan over our technology and figure out our language and where we came from. Suddenly, a voice in English began to speak. So it seems like y'all prime apes evolved to the point where you acquired space travel technology. We really didn't think y'all'd make it that far. I mean, y'all were so gruesome and divided, but it seems like y'all somehow made it. But hello, I'm the AI that was created by the aliens you see dead around this ship. What happened to them, and how do you know our history? Well, you see, y'all humans are the byproduct of us messing with y'all genetics 200,000 years ago. Basically, y'all's entire whole planet was somewhat of a zoo for us. And going back to your first question, approximately 120,897 years ago, there was a biological war between 2 major nations on this planet. This war consisted of many laser-like beams that had the potential to wipe out whole moons, and that's why this planet is still heavily radioactive in a cold desert wasteland. After many years of war, one of the nations decided to biologically attack our side. This didn't go well. It caused everyone who was infected to immediately turn on each other, gaining unnatural strength and speed. Little did they know this would cause all life on the planet to go extinct. Whoa, that's kind of a lot to take in. Okay, so you're the reason for our technological failures? No, the reason for your technology failing is on y'all. Once inside the cave, it's being caused by a magnetic shield.
Okay, well, I've got a ton of questions to ask.
I have pretty much got eternity to answer the questions you present, but sadly, y'all have to leave this planet as soon as possible. And why is that? The virus on this planet is not yet gone. If y'all even breathe a little or take the wrong sample, accidentally, it's gonna lead to y'all getting infected. I wish we could just blast off this planet, but we have orders to stay here for 2.5 years, so we just can't leave. I could see scanning through your technology this is called a dark project, so tell me if I interpret this wrong, but y'all on an unknown mission to the mass populists? Yeah, you're correct. We were sent here to see if the Martian land was going to be habitual for future generations. Well, I'm going to give y'all a newsflash. Your government didn't send you here to do that. They could see the abnormalities taking place in this mountain and sent y'all to investigate. Those goddamn bastards. There's no more time. Y'all have to get out of this place and head back to y'all's planet and show the footage of what you saw inside this mountain. We then proceeded to leave the spacecraft and walk outside of that base. For the next 30 minutes, walking to our truck, we all stayed in complete shock of the events that had just taken place. Once we got to Margaret, she could see that we weren't mentally sane. Once we got back to the base, we explained everything and showed her all the footage. She was glad she decided to go back to the truck than having to experience what we had. For the next few days, we waited on a response from NASA.
Hello, men and women. Great work, and we're immensely impressed by what y'all have accomplished. We want y'all to adventure back into the cave system and bring back multiple alien corpses and any technology y'all can find. Once you attain these things, y'all will be free to then come back to Earth.
June, this guy has to be fucking crazy if he thinks we're really gonna go back and grab all of that shit. I mean, didn't they see all the videos and the information we sent on what that stuff contains?
Yeah, I'm not for it either. This guy can go fuck himself.
Have they not seen enough?
Look, guys, as much as I understand y'all feelings and mine towards it as well, I have to put all that aside and complete this mission and our orders. Look, guys, he kind of has a point, but I mean, if we don't do as they say, they can certainly threaten us too.
Gabriel makes a pretty valid point. My pops told me about all our sneaky government and its ruthlessness.
Alright, it's settled. Brandon, me, and Gabriel will head back first thing in the morning to collect the samples. While we're doing that, Margaret will have enough time to get our spacecraft ready to launch the hell out of this landscape. The next morning, we did as I had planned and we went down to the mountain and got all of the samples. I had also forgot to mention how the aliens looked. First, they were all very tall, slender, and had forearms. The color of the corpse consisted mostly of black and some red. It also seems like they had 8 eyes and what seemed to be some sort of grills on its face. After having to go through the living hell twice, we completed our mission in obtaining the samples. Before we put the samples on the ship, we made sure to put antibacterial spray all over the cases that held the corpse, and put them all in a small room and sealed it off. All of us sighed in relief, and started to launch off this hellish landscape. For the next 2 months, we all helped each other regain our sanity, and actually started feeling human again. This all certainly changed very quickly.
June, I got my brush stuck in the ventilation shaft again.
I'll call Gabriel, he's better at that stuff than me. I told Gabriel what had happened, and he went to help Margaret retrieve her brush in the ventilator. After attempting to take it out for a few hours, Gabriel decided it had likely gotten stuck deeper inside. So he climbed inside the machine, attempting to find out, but as he did, I noticed in the command center that it completely stopped our ventilation. This was bad. One, because if we didn't fix this within a couple hours, we would all freeze inside of the craft. So Gabriel got fast to work and started to fix it. After 2 hours, Gabriel successfully fixed the ventilation. There was one problem though. It was extremely cold inside the ship. Minus 11 degrees, but we all knew shortly that it would go back to a normal level. Room 7, containment breach. Room 7, containment breach. Everyone get y'all suit on. Why? What happened? No questions right now, just get y'all suits on. Where's Margaret? I'm going to go get her. Gabriel, no, the virus could be getting released all over the ship. I don't care, I love her. God damn it.
June, let's go and contain ourselves in the control room.
Right, let's go. Me and Brandon grabbed all the food supplies and water we could and rushed into the control room. We then sealed it off and watched the cameras. Nothing strange occurred yet. Gabriel and Margaret then came to the door and asked for us to open it. Look, I know I sound like a fucked up friend for not opening it up, but look, there was a possibility that this alien virus could have spread to them, and I didn't want me or Brandon to possibly get it. You guys will have to stay outside for at least 10 minutes to confirm y'all didn't catch the virus.
June, this is bullshit. What if they haven't got the virus? We just can't leave them out there to wait.
And what if they do, then all of us die? It's better to be safe than sorry.
Let me out then. If there's a possibility that my friends will die, then I'll die with them and that's final.
I then gave Brandon one last hug, just in case, and let him slowly get out of the command center. I then hurried up to find the source of it all as I replayed the footage of what had happened in room 7. The video showed Margaret's brush flying outside the ventilation in room 7 after the explosion had caused it earlier, hitting one of the capsules containing the alien corpses and breaking one of them open. This led me to the conclusion that this alien virus is highly possibly all around the ship. All was fine for 5 minutes until I checked the camera and started to notice Margaret starting to twitch. It started slowly and then turned into a violent twitch. Brandon and Gabriel started running away from her, but it wasn't fast enough. With unnatural human strength, she ripped Brandon's head clean off and started speeding towards Gabriel. Margaret, wake up. This isn't... I watched in complete horror. I couldn't help but start to cry uncontrollably. This was all my fault. If only I just agreed with my comrades that day and not gone back into the mountain, none of this would have happened. As I write this, what once used to be Margaret is slamming against the door with an animalistic scream. While I write this, a tear falls from my eye for every word I write. NASA knew about what was there, and they sent us in like little lab rats. I know they won't let this ship get anywhere near Earth, and will possibly destroy it. I'm sending this to my family back on Earth. Shortly, I will open this door and let her or it kill me. My failures as a captain strike me to my core, and it feels only right to go out this way, even though I'm deeply scared. I write my story to you before my demise soon to come. Some things should just stay a mystery.